Well, hello, everyone. It is Thursday, April 23rd, year of our Lord 2026. We've been looking at one-on-one relationships with David. We've got 2 more to go this week. Today, we're doing Michal. We saw Samuel, beautiful relationship with David. Saul, not so well. We saw Jonathan, beautiful example of brotherly Jesus relationship. Today, we're going to look at Michal and David's relationship. I kind of call Michal Daddy's little girl. Now, Michal's daddy is Saul. He's the king. She lives in the palace. You kind of get that, okay? Now, Michal had an older sister called Merib. And when Goliath was still stalking the Israelites, Saul said, whoever beats Goliath, I'll let them live free in taxes, and they'll be promoted, and they can marry one of my girls. So this is how we kind of bring in the story of Michal and Merib. David doesn't feel he should marry Merib, but again, Michal is actually in love with David at that time. It begins great, okay? And Saul gives Michal to marry, but David has to go out and kill 100 Philistines and bring their foreskins. I mean, that's what God asked for. Saul is really thinking, I don't like this David character. I hope the Philistines kill David. That's where Saul's heart was, even though he's going to be the father-in-law, okay? Even though he should be loving David. Wouldn't that be great if Saul could have passed that baton to David? It just didn't work. Anyway, God's holding it all. God has a purpose through the tough times with David. David will be a better king from it. But Michal steps in between daddy, government, and David, and saves David. They're trying to kill him when he wakes up in the morning. David gets away. You got to remember Saul's jealousy. My daughter loves David. And he's going to do anything to break that. As you know, David goes on a run. David is actually running through Israel for about 10 plus years, 10, 15 years. Saul throwing spears at him. Saul getting people to turn against him. Israel either loved David or Saul. It was that way politically, okay? David is on the run for his life. Let's remember what happens when that goes on. David is separate from his wife. They're not together. They're not sharing a love or a talk or the word. And in fact, what he does, Saul takes Michal and marries him to another guy. David has to go back and get his wife back. Now, that's not legal or anything. It was wrong of Saul to do that. I feel sorry for the husband who married Michal, and then eventually Michal leaves, and David brings Michal back. But again, Michal didn't have the relationship with the Lord that Jonathan, her brother, did. And we talked about Jonathan a few days ago. She didn't have that worship. She didn't have that praise of the Lord. And in a way, she becomes bitter. I want to wrap this story up in 2 Samuel 6. And we'll get to the story in a few weeks. They're bringing the Ark of the Covenant back into Jerusalem after all these years. You might know the story. And Michal is watching from a window. And David, in a loincloth, starts doing a dance. I mean, he might have his hands up, praise be, but he's in a loincloth. Now, I think you have to be very careful how you do that today. I mean, if I took everything but a loincloth off in Sunday service, people would this is not good, you know. So please use respect for that, how you do it. But it was really a pure worship. Michal sees this. I think she's a little jealous. David wasn't afraid to show his love. He had a heart for God. And it was all good and pure and holy. When Michal sees David, she basically takes him to the coals over it. She embarrasses him. She you shouldn't have done that. You embarrassed me. You're no good. And David walks away from that, still married to Michal, but he basically puts her away. She still lives in the temple, the court, with David. David will have a number of wives. They never have any children. So Michal finishes a very bitter woman. What's the message there? You can't kind of have a loyalty to daddy and David, but even deeper, you've got to have that love of the Lord. David and Michal didn't do that. Michal didn't reach out, and I think that hurt their relationship. But should Michal have supported David in the loin? Yes, she should have. I don't understand that, husband. Will you teach me how to have a greater love of the Lord? And David, I think, that happens in a lot of relations. A husband can teach a wife, or a wife can teach a husband. So it ends very tragically, Michal. No children, and she's not heard of again. So anyway, great lesson to take to heart. Jonathan or Michal, you think about it, okay? Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless you.